bracket number 2, top Sarasota real estate agent. In fact, the number one real estate agent. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. 175 million in volume last year.
Not a bad year.
Sued in a $4.8 million transaction on Bird Key. So prominent Sarasota real estate agent Robert Pentingel. Roger. What did I say? Robert?
I don't know, but
you're not even listening.
You didn't say Roger. That's for sure.
Roger Pentingel
that.
and Coldwell Banker have been sued over a $4.8 million transaction on Bird Key by both. Here, listen to this. By both a potential buyer, so not the buyer that won the bid,
not the buyer that won,
potential buyer that was in the bidding war, and the property seller. That's where I'm seeing like, there are red lights flashing. The property seller is also suing. If it was just a mad potential buyer,
right?
But you've got the seller involved. This is according to the lawsuits filed in Broward County. So Barry Cohen, who is the buyer who lost out on the property, he accuses Pentingel, the agent, of manipulating the sellers into choosing a buyer Pentingel also represented, so that he received both sides of the commission, which was a $4.6 million sale plus $200,000 in furniture, totaling the 4.8 number. Now, this buyer had an escalation clause all the way up to $5 million, so was beating this by $200,000.
Right.
Says in fact that he would have gone up to 5.3, but I don't know why he just didn't make that offer. But
and he also said that he was going to remove an inspection clause. But
he was going to do this, going to do that, but he didn't do any of that.
Right.
He submitted an offer that appears, according to this article which is in the Herald Tribune, which we'll link, of course. It appears that his offer was $5 million, so $200,000 better. Now Pentingel says that the other offer, the winning offer, which he represented, dual agency, was cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it doesn't really get into exactly where the seller is. It sounds like the seller and that buyer met and they exchanged stories.
The buyer actually was so upset that he lost the bid. He drove to the home, which is at that point he was like, I'm willing to pay $5.3 million. And when we went to the home,
seller,
the seller was at the house. So that point is when he met the seller. Mm-hmm. The seller said that the offer that they chose was the only one that was in writing. His agent had said that all of the others were verbal. The one that he accepted was the only one in writing. And obviously that's how now the seller is involved in this case as well.
So Pentingel's been in business 35 years. He's never had a complaint or a lawsuit. So never had an ethics complaint, which is, a realtor thing. That's kind of just a, thing the realtor board came up with. And then the lawsuit, which is a real thing. Like That's how you can really get yourself into some hot water. It's interesting. The buyer that filed the lawsuit said he was going to do the ethics complaint as well as the lawsuit. But then the more he learned about the ethics complaint, he realized it was just a big racket and it was just going to be a waste of his time.
Yeah.
And so he's just like, I'll just do the real thing and file the lawsuit. So Pentingel, never been sued, never had an ethics complaint, 35 years. Anybody can sue anybody. It's actually, I think that's pretty amazing. He's never been sued in 35 years. Obviously, anybody can file a lawsuit. They're going to have to go through the court system and see what shakes out. I think he's in some hot water.
I agree.
Because the seller is also on this lawsuit. If it was an angry buyer, I think you'd be able, and the seller was saying, hey, I saw your offer.
Right. The seller is not saying that at all.
The seller's not saying that they saw the offer. So that's where things are going to get very difficult for Roger.
The thing that's super interesting here is that the buyer, the potential buyer is saying that this is a widespread danger, this dual agency situation, but he too was represented by a Coldwell Banker agent. So in my mind, they were both dual agency situations, but I do understand what he's saying because this individual was representing both parties directly, but I feel like he does need to be a little easy with his wording there too.
And they actually cited in the lawsuit that almost 30% of his transactions last year, he represented both sides.
Yeah. So
that's a pretty big number.
Can you imagine what's going to happen now? All those angry buyers are going to come out of the woodwork, or all the agents that are super jealous of like how much he's achieving. Like what's going to happen there?
22 of his transactions last year, he represented both sides, which was 29.1% of his deals. So, dual agency gone wrong. this is why there's bigger lawsuits in this country that talk about dual agency. People don't like it. In no other business across the country, we talked about this. Go check out the Real Word Confessional where we kind of get into this. But we're talking more about how the commission is being paid with the confessional we did with the CEO of Planomatic. You can go check that out. But this is along the same lines. In no other business when you're bringing a buyer and seller together, does someone represent both sides?
Right.
It's very unique. Obviously, agents get paid a lot more money when they represent both sides. They're keeping both sides of the commission, but there are reasons dual agency is illegal in a lot of states. This is the reason, right? I think when everything shakes out with this whole commission thing, there's going to be massive changes to dual agency. There's just been too many issues over the years. Now, some buyers want to go direct, right? They want to be
because I think they're going to get the best deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Or they want to be unrepresented, or they just get into this dual agency situation where they're represented by both sides because, to your point, they feel like they have more leverage on that agent to make a financial decision and potentially, get some of these other offers off of the table. What do you think, Nicole? I mean, just dual agency, do you think it's never going away, or do you think more issues like this will lead it to potentially?
I don't know. I can't imagine it honestly going away, to be honest. I mean, think about how many times sellers are like, well, if you bring the buyer, will you reduce my commission too? So there's also so many steps in between where, I mean, obviously the seller in this situation is suing because obviously he didn't get that, but we don't know in some situations where, maybe your deal was the purchase price was less, but did that agent cut their commission down by 1-2%, which then obviously made the deal potentially larger for that seller. So I don't see it going away. Again, obviously there's lots of disclosure now people have to sign. Are agents really disclosing and getting those things signed in the front end? Probably, maybe not in some situations, but I don't know how it doesn't go away, especially like you said, with buyers wanting to deal directly with the selling listing agent. I don't, but there's been enough talk about it that there obviously will be some sort of shakeup, but I don't know that eliminating it is going to be the way, but I personally really never enjoyed too many dual agent transactions. Doing both, you mean you don't like doing both sides?
Do I like the commission check? Sure.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, what was your point? Like, you don't enjoy them?
Yeah, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy doing dual agent deals.
Too much work. It's too much work?
It is way more work.
Yeah.
Which is why you do keep both sides.
Keeping it fair and ethical, I guess is the better word, not fair. But I agree with you. I like the idea of representing my side. Yeah. When you go super neutral, and obviously you owe fairness and everything to even when you're representing your side, you've got to be ethical and all this kind of stuff. But I like really digging in and negotiating for one side. When you neutralize your ability to help educate the people that you're working with on the negotiation tactics, you can't do that. Even though the seller hired you first in a dual agency, you literally can't help them negotiate. Right. It's just it's counterintuitive to the way I think. Agreed.
And so this will be figured out in the courts. Roger, 35-year career. Bad news for Roger. The seller being involved seems like Roger could be a racket here. I'm sure he's a great guy, by the way. 35 years and top agent.
Well, he's doing $175 million. I mean, he's
a great agent. Maybe he's not a great guy, but he's a great agent. But
he's not doing something wrong.
This one certainly has
feet.
Feet? It has feet?
It has feet. Yes. Yeah,
it's got question marks for
legs,
sure.
Right? Legs has legs. It has legs.
It's running somewhere.
The feet are attached to the legs. It has legs. Yeah.
Running into. Hey, how amazing would that be? A reality show. Kevin O'Leary from the Shark Tank is doing this new show. Have you heard about this show?
No, I didn't even know that you watched television though. Where
Well, everybody knows the Shark Tank.
I understand, but keep going.
Shark Tank's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's doing a new show where a business dispute.
Mm-hmm.
They come on the show. These two people are in this this lawsuit or whatever.
Sort of like a Judge Judy type.
It's
thing?
like a Judge Judy for business disputes, and
But
he's
the judge.
The judge, Kevin O'Leary.
God,
How
that's
fantastic
ridiculous.
Is that? They should go on that show. That's coming out here, I think, this fall. So that'll be. They should do that. All real estate disputes should go on the Kevin O'Leary show. That would be, maybe we could start that show. You know?
You and I are not Kevin O'Leary though.
No, he's my favorite shark.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Yeah. No, yeah.
All right, hey guys, if you enjoyed this short clip from The Real World, click here for another one.
Or if you like the full episode, click here.